Welcome this evening, folks. Really glad to have you here again. Looking forward to a good old blether with myself and Kenny, as always, where we'll waffle on like we do to the best of our abilities. We also have an exciting person joining us tonight, actually, technically two, hopefully. So to buy one, get one free this evening, guys. We've got an absolute titan from the hog world. You probably know him as Dino. He's also known as Steve to certain people. And I'm sure there's other names out there for him that we're not aware of. But we're really looking forward to catching up with himself. And Lisa, his good lady. So it'll be an exciting episode, folks. Bear with us, stay with us, and we'll meet you at the other side. Well, we've got Steve with us now. He's zoomed in all the way from the Algarve. You can't see the sunshine behind the curtains, but he assures us it's there, albeit cold, because apparently it's 11 degrees. So sorry, folks in the UK. Evening, Steve. How are you?
Yeah, all good, Ben. How are you too? Nice to see you, Kenny.
Good to see you, mate.
Yeah, really glad to have you on board with us this evening. And we know Lisa's there in the background, so we'll catch up with Lisa at some point as well, which is going to be good fun. So talk to us, really. We were excited to have you on. We've tried to get you for a while, but obviously you're a busy man and you're here, there and everywhere. An international man of mystery, some might say even. So talk to us about you, Steve. Obviously you've been around for a while. I described you in the introduction as a titan, and I don't use the word lightly. I think you are a titan of HOG. I think you've been a really influential person, quietly as well. Do you know what I mean? You're one of those people that you know you're there, but you don't always know you're there, if that makes sense. But there's always help and support and enthusiasm in abundance. So talk to me about, where did you start?
Yeah, so it was 20 years ago, believe it or not, when I bought my first Harley, newish Harley from Manchester Harley Davidson, which was in Stockport. And he'd give me a membership at the time for the Hatters chapter. Joined the Hatters chapter, but I was all over the world doing big security, so I was drifting in and out. I didn't really get a chance to ride out with anyone for probably the first couple of years. Then I started riding out in the groups, quite enjoying it. Only a few of us at a time, and I think the chapter went up to about 200 members, if I remember rightly. It was great. It was a drinking chapter. It was a rowdy chapter. It had everything. You had every clientele you could think of in that chapter. And we had some great lads and great ladies in it. And then as time went by, I sort of was starting to take a little back step with my security. Security was going great. It was booming. We had hundreds of lads work for us. But I decided that, I spent enough time on tour, travelling with all the celebs and singers and everything else. And I thought it's time to maybe do a little bit more to home. So then 10 years ago, I joined the committee. Did a couple of years of activities officer. Really enjoyed that. Got the activities going. It was booming, to be truthful. Every time we put an activity out, it was just full. There was no space, and it was great. Then I moved into assistant director. We had a director called Arthur. Arthur had done it for a few years, and I said, I'd go on board with him and help him. So I did that for 2 years, run it quite a lot, which was great for Arthur, so he could chill out a little bit more. And then I took over as director. Membership wasn't too big, it was quite mediocre. And then my plan was to build the membership, be open to everybody. Don't have favourites, don't have personal friends. Everyone's a friend, and treat everyone the same. What's good for one's good for everyone else. Don't matter if you've come from a council estate like I came from, or you come from a very rich background. As far as I'm concerned, we all deserve to be treated the same, and that's where it went from there. Membership at the moment sits at 360, so it's quite a large chapter. We have a few members that have retired from riding now, but we still keep them with us because it's important that they've been there from the early days, and it's important that they get looked after forever. I know a lot of chapters, or a lot of people, they leave a chapter or they retire from a chapter, and that's the end of them. I don't think that's correct. I think it's really important you keep them on board, and they just let them know that they can be with you forever. So they attend. If you have activities, they'll turn up. we've got people in their 80s, and they'll turn up and come to the activities and stuff. And I think it's really important, you know, because they've kept it going. They kept it going through the hard days and the tough days and the good days, and they've always been there.
Probably keeps them young at heart as well, doesn't it? Actually being involved.
Yeah, of course it did. But I did make a pact when I become director, to myself, not to anyone else, and no one knew this, but I said I would never overstay being a director. And a lot of people make that mistake, and chapters don't stay fresh. And I think chapters should stay fresh. And I think, you know, having the younger generation coming through with the older generation, I think that works as a great team together. And I just knew in my head what I was going to do. But at the same time, I have a club in Portugal as well, where I ride a lot in Portugal. So I was flitching back and two and stuff like that. And I've done that for years. But a few months ago, I sat down to myself and I said to myself, I think maybe it's time now for someone younger. Well, it's at the top, and while it's doing absolutely, it's booming, and everything is in the correct position. We've got a great, strong committee of 17. We've got a great team of assistant committee. So we've got a backup for nearly every post, but a strong backup as well. So if someone wanted to take a few months out, they could just slip straight into that role, and it'd work great. We've got a lot of younger ones have joined in and come onto the committee, which I think is very important. And I just decided to myself, I said, you know, I'd had a little bit of an health scare as well, but that wasn't the reason I decided this. So I decided on the 13th of December, our Christmas party that night with 167 people, that I was going to make an announcement. I hadn't even told my whole family, I hadn't told anybody. So no one at all knew whatsoever, only me. And we'd give some awards out. And then I thought, now's the time. It was just after the break of the bands. The band just broke. We've had our meal. With the band's broke, it's probably about 10 o'clock at night. And then I just made the announcement for the future that it was time for me to step down. I never seen so many people with like, they were just like, what? What's he saying here? What's going on? But, you know, I think it's important no one tries to change your mind. And I think it's important that the chapter stays fresh. So I did my speech, and then I got the biggest round of applause I've ever seen in a room. Every single member in that room stood up and applauded for quite a while. And I thought, I've done something right then. You know, it's like I have done something right, because, you know, you can never think, well, you like everybody or everybody likes you. You're going to have disagreements. But I think the unique way I had it was I never had personal friends. So even though I have friends, they were never 100% close to me. They were close to me, if that makes sense. But you can't let anything affect your judgment when you're making decisions. You know, and I feel that if I had to tell somebody to leave the chapter, which has happened on 2 occasions, then I had to feel that I know could do that. Where if I got really, really dead close friends with people, then I know, you know, it might prejudge me doing that, but it never has prejudged me doing that. You know, I've got 3 school pals that we grew up with in school. Carl and Russ are the closest to, and they're in the chapter and they ride with us. You know, and I've grew up with these people from the age of 4. So I've always been in business, and the way I've always been, if it's something has to be done, let's do it. I'm an hard worker, you know. I don't stop work, full stop. Businesses and personal stuff, it just doesn't stop. 12 months ago, the dealership closed down. It was suddenly, you know, one of the owners was took really badly poorly, and the dealership went into liquidation. I set something in my head to say that I want this dealership back open within 3 months. I don't know how we do it, whether I went into it myself and got involved myself, which I didn't want to do, because then that brings it where you're doing it for you then, not for the chapter, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So my last resort was to get involved in the dealership myself with my friend Trevor. We'd put stuff in motion if we needed to do that. But then we have a member called Craig Lane, and he introduced Chris, who he knew dead well. Chris owns quite a lot of Ducati dealerships. And Chris went and had a look at it, and I turned up at the dealership, funny enough, the same day Chris was there. Because what had happened, the liquidators had turned up and tried to lock everyone out. Well, I was having none of that. At the end of the day, we're all human beings, and everyone's getting their stuff out no matter what. We had people, customers, we had members' bikes in there. I think we ended up with 19 Harley Davidsons in one of my garages because I wanted to get everything out of there that belonged to them members.
Yeah.
All the mechanics' toolboxes, stuff like that, everything came into one of my garages. So at the end of the day, I made sure everything was right. And then I got on well with the liquidators. And one of them texted me, "Hi, Steve, just let you know, someone's coming down to look at the building. I believe he has a bike shop." So jumped in my car, round the corner at Granada TV, jumped in my car, shot round there, and just walked in as Chris was there and one of his managers. Rob, the DP, had been in conversation with him as well, and he'd agreed that if he did take it on, he would set Rob, the DP, on. And then he explained about the dealership myself, and he explained about the chapter and what we do for the dealership and how it works as one big team. And he was just like thinking, what? We don't, even though we have a great team with Ducati, we don't have this, what H.O.G and Harley Davidson have. We don't have this as a customer base. So he agreed that he would take it. And I promised him at that opening, our car park, Kazoo next door, and every spare space across the way at other people's car parks would be rammed. And he had a lad who was with him, and I seen the lad roll his eyes to say, "Oh, here's another one talking through his backside." But I know when I say I'll do something, I do it. On the opening day, we had over 1,000 bikes there. Turned up. I mean, every chapter virtually in the UK supported it. There was just a couple that didn't for various reasons. I don't know. Maybe it was too far. I didn't like riding. But at the end of the day, well, that was one of the cases. And one of the guys was going to come from one chapter but didn't want to ride on his own. So fair enough, at the end of the day, it's a long way, 300 miles or something. But we've gone down to that area numerous times, and I've gone down there on my own many times to Taunton Carnival and places like that. So to me, I don't know. I don't grim and bear stuff like that. If you want to go somewhere, you go. But yeah, it was well supported. It was a great day. We had live bands on. We had bars there. It was it was like a rally. Honestly, it was like a massive rally, and it was great. And Chris was there, and he stood there, and he looked at me, and he's like, he couldn't believe it. Honestly, he just couldn't believe what I said I'd do. We did as a team. All the chapter were there. Loads of the members were helping. The committee were helping, and we worked our tripe off that as a team that day. And that team's carried on, and it's gone from strength to strength. So as far as the chapter goes, I think we are one of the biggest in Europe, without doubt. I think we're one of the most active chapters, I would say, not just in Europe, but probably in the world. We do that much stuff. I mean, last year, I think we did 74, 75 ride outs in the season. That's a lot of rides in the season. And we're already up to 75 to 80 for 2026 coming in. So to me, I think it's important you keep the members happy. I think it's important you give the members things to do. We have one of the best activities officers that anyone could have in Sally. I mean, honestly, I can do a lot, but she just doesn't stop. She's like a robot machine. I don't know how she sleeps, how she gets time to sleep. And I find that every single member of our committee puts everything in. You get in a lot of places, you'll get a committee set up, and the committee wear the badge and don't really do anything else, in different clubs. But in chapters, it's different. Everyone digs in, everyone gets involved. And I think it's brilliant that the full HOG or HD team comes together like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that was about me, really. Obviously, like I say, I do a lot of riding in the Algarve. I love it out here, and I did 2.5 months here in September. I come back for the regional directors event. I came back for that. I think did I see you there, Ben? I'm not sure if you were there.
Yeah, you saw both of us there at Rock.
Yeah, did you?
Yeah.
Came back for that, and then I flew straight back to Portugal after that. And I just love it. I love it out here. I love riding. I mean, I've rode 4 or 5 times now in the last 7 days. It's great. Well, we can't do that in England because the weather's that bad at the moment. I mean, the kids were sending me pictures of snow all over the place yesterday. I did think it was funny, and we were down having something to eat down the bottom end of the Algarve, enjoying ourselves on the bikes.
I haven't been able to leave my house for 2 days now because I'm under about 7 inches of snow on the side of a hill. So I can't move, can't even move vehicles.
You were talking earlier, so to sort of break the fourth wall, as Brecht would say, we do actually have to plan things, don't we, Kenny? As slick as we make this look, we do sometimes put a bit of prep work in. And I was saying to Steve this morning, my nan always told me, live on a hill, son, because you'll never get flooded. And she just forgot about every other type of weather. Being on a hill, not ideal. I've never been flooded, touch wood. But everything else, yeah. But you see that actually. So a couple of things I want to sort of touch on, catch up with, have a bit of a blether further about. So the Mancunium chapter are absolute riders. There's no question about it. There are some other chapters in the UK that do a lot of miles, but you are absolutely up there. Every time I look at a Dreek day and I look out my window, I'm like, I might melt. The bike might melt. And Scotland's a bit different. I'm going to make that excuse, sportsman's excuse here. Scotland, weather, totally different. But no, there are days where I'm like, no, I'm not going out today. It's a little bit too cold. It's a little bit too wet. And then you look at Instagram and you're like, oh, bugger. They've gone out again. And it's not just a couple of you. See, wherever you guys turn up, and I've said it, I think I said it about the Geordies. It's like ducks. One starts quacking and everybody turns up. Like, I think anytime I've ever seen a Mancunian rocker, it's like ladies going to the toilet in a nightclub, I suppose, to use a security example. There's never one, is there? There's always a group. And I think wherever the Mancunians go, and that's the best thing about you guys, wherever you turn up in force. You're there to support the event. And it's never like you're turning up to be like, oh, look at how many of us are here. It's, we've bought this amount of people to help your event, to support your event, to give it that extra boost and to give it that bolster. And I think that's a really refreshing, a really refreshing approach to a lot of things. I've said it to yourself as well, Steve, when we've had like conversations again outside of this. You don't strike me as an egotistical man. You strike me as a very competent man and a very confident man. Like you said yourself, you'll set yourself a target and you achieve it. You might not tell anybody else what your target is. And I think actually sometimes that's healthy. Set your own goal and then you can crack on with the way that you need to. But there isn't an ego involved in it. It is about everybody else. And I've seen that on a personal level. So the conversations we've had previously about things, you met me off a train when I was going to go pick up a transit van and you didn't know where the transit centre was, neither did I, but we found it together. And it's that you always seem to be there to help. And I think that ethos is sort of distilled into the chapter. I think the Mancunium chapter, when they turn up, they're friendly, they're there in good numbers, and they're just there to have a good time and to be part of what's going on, aren't they?
Exactly. And I think that's the most important thing, that everyone's there for each other. I am taking a right back seat now. Once the new director's put in position, and I had criteria in myself what the new director should be and should not be. And I think it's important that whoever takes over comes from like the Hatters days. So they've seen the Hatters, they've seen the Mancunian, they've been in the chapter quite a few years. I mean, I said to myself, 8 to 10 years. I think it's important someone's been in that chapter to, if they're going in charge in a big chapter, but to also have been around the chapter to see how the chapter goes. Age doesn't come into it for me, as far as I'm concerned. If they're over 21 and they're enthusiastic and they've been around the chapter for quite a few years, they might have been brought up in it with the parents. Then to me, everyone deserves that chance. And I feel the next director, who's agreed to take it, but I can't say who it is at the moment. I think that next director will thrive. But what I will be there is on the end of that phone 24 hours a day for that person. So if that person ever has any issues, no matter where I will be in the world, then I will be there to help that person, 110%. And I know they would be there to help me. When I took over, I had Arthur to sort of guide me, but I wanted extra guidance as well from a big chapter. So I watched the Geordie chapter for many years and I followed the Geordie chapter. And they, in my eyes, were one of the most active chapters out there who did a lot of miles and a lot of riding, which I love to do. And I contacted their ex-director, Barry Gillespie. And I'll be honest with you, Gary gave me so much advice and helped me so much at the start, which was absolutely brilliant. And that's carried on with the Geordie chapter. I get on really well with Alan now, and me and Alan have a great bond together. We've done a lot of riding together in the last couple of years. I mean, we've done thousands of miles together, to be truthful with you. But we thrive off each other as well. We wind up each other off and we have a laugh. Adam Phillips is another one. Adam's done tons and tons of miles. In fact, I enjoyed it this year because I just beat him for the overall miles for riding. I think we were close. We were a few hundred miles difference. But we're up there, up touching 20,000. I think it's been great. And to me, if you're gonna have a bike, let's ride them bikes. And that's what I love. Mm-hmm. I love riding them bikes. One of my street glides now is at 50,000. That's probably my third one that's done that. And to me, they're there to be ever. As long as you get them serviced. I mean, I always use main dealers. I've never used anyone but a main dealer. And you know what, Ben? I've never broke down. Mm-hmm. I had issues with my Pan America, but it was a software issue. But as far as riding and breaking down, I've never had that because I get them serviced regular. It's like this year, 4 services this year. But at the end of the day, you've got to look after that bike. You've got to look after that engine. Get that oil changed. I try and change it a maximum 5,000, but I try and change it 3,000. Adam Phillips is the same. He's never out of our dealership getting his bike serviced. He comes all the way from Gloucester to get it serviced. And it's superb. And I know the Geordies get looked after by Leeds Harley Davidson now. And I think if you've got a great dealership to look after you, do it. But if you haven't got a great dealership that doesn't look after you, then ask the question why. Go down and meet the director, meet the DP, meet the owner, and convince them that you want them to look after you because you can do this, that, and everything for them. It's a three-legged stool, isn't it? That's the way I always see it. You've got H.O.G, you've got the dealership, and you've got the chapter. And that's why I encourage the chapter members to support the dealership. And, I'd say 70% of our members support the dealership as far as servicing and repairs go. And I think that's a massive thing to happen because if they don't support the dealerships are not around anymore. Yeah. And dealerships have been shutting left, right and centre. But then I hear people say, I wonder why they've shut. Well, where'd you get your bike serviced? Oh, I used such a body down the road. There's the questions to be answered, isn't it? At the end of the day, you've got to try and, if you can. I understand sometimes it becomes money. And, you look at a 50,000 mile service on a bike, they virtually strip that bike to the bare bone. Now, I know someone who's had a 50,000 mile service done a few months ago. It was in and out within 2 hours. Well, I'm sorry, that's not a 50,000 mile service. That bike's not being stripped down. Okay, they might be lucky and never break down for the rest of the time they use that bike. But 99% of the time, I bet they do break down, and you just don't know.
And then they tend to blame the manufacturer at that point as well, don't they? So if they have had issues with the bike, it's always Harley Davidson at fault. They never actually say, yeah, but it was so-and-so around the corner that did it for 30 quid. It's like if you're a sparky or a plumber, every customer's got a mate that could do it cheaper. Well, dad on. See how quickly your house burns down. It's paying for the skills, isn't it? There's an age-old story about a ship stuck in a harbour forever, and this dude turns up, charges £30,000, takes out a little brass hammer and taps the propeller and fixes it. And the shipyard owner's like, "Whoa, I'm not paying you what your money was." He said, "But it's not about hitting it with the hammer. It's about all the skills that I've got and having the correct tool because it was a little brass hammer that fixed it and the knowledge of where to tap it." And I think that's the thing. I mean, we talk about cost. I reckon I'm fairly confident I'd stake a good amount of money on it. If you are getting things done to your bike and you work out the labour rate might be cheaper somewhere else, but Harley techs know what they're doing, so they'll probably do the job in less time than it's taking your other garage that isn't specialised in what you're taking in. So your overall bill probably actually comes out the same, but people see HD labour rates like, I personally don't. It's not the worst rate I've ever seen. It's not the best rate I've ever seen sometimes, but by the time I've worked out how long it's going to take and then compared it to somebody else who's taking twice the amount of time, you're still paying the same amount of money, aren't you? And you haven't had one that's been trained through an academy and like a master tech or any level of technician really at Harley has always had that training from the brand. So they know what they're doing. They've got the correct tools.
And that training, it's cost a lot of money. For them dealerships to send their mechanics away for, say, a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks at a time, it costs the dealership a lot of money. It costs Harley a lot of money putting these courses on. So they've got to get the money somehow to pay for all this because otherwise you just end up bankrupt, don't you?
Yeah.
And I just wish that everyone in the UK would support them dealerships. I mean, I think they're down to 15 dealerships now. So more may close. Hopefully they don't. But I think if the chapters help them, then that's great. And I think it's important that directors encourage the chapters to use the dealership or to use a dealership. I mean, I know sometimes you've got to travel a fair way to do it, but I think it's important that committees and directors try and get that across to the members and get it across to members to help them. I mean, I was in a place when our dealership shut down. We split up because there was that many of the members. We split up between 3 dealerships. We used Leeds, Chesterfield, and Wolverhampton. And Steve at Wolverhampton's brilliant, and James is absolutely great. Not James, Sam. Leeds is great. But I remember being at Wolverhampton, and I remember one of the members there drinking coffee, talking away to him. And I said, "Oh, you having your bike repaired?" He said, "Oh, no, not here. It's down the road in a garage." So he's put his bike into a garage down the road, a bike shop down the road. He's then gone into Wolverhampton HD to drink their coffee and enjoy their hospitality, but his bike's not in there. And it's like, I couldn't believe it, And I have to say something, that's just how I am. And I say, "Well, do you think that's right?" And in the end, I don't know if it's embarrassing them, but is that right? Is that right, Ben, that people should do that? I don't know.
No, the answer is simply no, absolutely not.
Listen,
if you want to use elsewhere, but drink their coffee.
Mm-hmm.
I've got massive morals, me, honestly, and I think it's very important in life that's how I was brought up that way. And at the end of the day, I think it's important that everyone tries to get them morals themselves and does that to support them. And it's like chapters, I think chapters are great. They're great for new members, they're great for old members, they're great for everybody. But, to encourage more younger members, I feel it's important that chapters have younger people on the committee, and younger, enthusiastic members that are coming through. Give them a go. Honestly, give them an actual go, and do it from there. And it's like, assistants. I had 4 assistants, mate. Our chapter had 4 assistants. And it's worked absolutely brilliant. I'll be truthful with you, the first year of one assistant, it didn't work, and the power went I felt to the head, and it just didn't work out, at the end of the day, it just didn't work out. What I found with 4 assistants is there was no power struggle. There was no one saying, "I want to do this, I want to do that," or whatever. They've worked as a brilliant team, Ben, and it's done brilliant. So I encourage more directors to get more than one assistant, for the future, and build it. And I feel for like a couple of years now, I've been preparing for this day by building the chapter the strongest it could possibly be. The committee. And I feel that committee that we have at the Mancunian chapter is strong enough to keep that chapter going forever. Because at the end of the day, we won't be here forever, but I want the chapter to be there forever. I want the members to be riding the alleys forever. And that's what it's about. I know the price, and people complain about the price and this, that, and the other. But do you know what? One of my friend's sons in Portugal, he's 18 now. At 17, he got his first Harley. And I encouraged him to try and get a new one if he could. And he saved up from working, and he bought himself a new Nightster. And he rides with me regular over here, as well as his dad riding with me. Me and his dad have a bit of banter because his dad has a BMW. I call it a Chinese bike, and we have a bit of fun over it, But we're great friends, and his son's a great lad. But to see someone at 17 getting the first Harley, I know they can't have them in England because we have silly regulations about the CC you can ride, but then you can go and drive a Ferrari at 17. It doesn't make sense, does it? So it's great, and I encourage him more and more to do things, and I show him what we do in the UK, and now they're getting their little club over here going like the similar way, and then I see another young one come along with one, and it's great. So Simone, to me, for people in Portugal, is someone to look up to at that age, and like 18 now, you wouldn't think you wouldn't think he rides a bike when you see him, but he has all the gear on. He's got all the bobhead stuff on that Damo and Seb have donated, and it's great. I love it, honestly. I mean, bobheads getting that popular in Portugal now, but there'll be more people wearing it than what there is in the UK.
Yeah, I think one thing that both me and Kenny had obviously spoken about. So we got a little pre-warning of what we were going to be talking about. I don't think, and it's how I'm going to say this delicately without treading on toes or doing anything different. I've been in chapters a while now, and I've seen change of leadership happen a couple of times. And I've had other conversations with people in other chapters across the UK. I don't think I've seen such a clear succession plan. And I've also, there's a lot sometimes, well, I'll talk about you rather than talk about anything else. And then that way there's no way of causing any offense to anybody else in any way. I don't know of another person that would get something to the top of its game and then step back and let somebody else step in. There's a certain, there's something to be respected there, isn't there? There's an absolute hat tip, nod to the head, and I'm not blowing smoke up your ass because you sat there. You're far enough away from me in Portugal, I think I might be able to hide. I wouldn't hide for long, but, you know, I could say something, maybe get away with it. And so I'm not just complimenting you for the sake of it. To step away at where you are at the minute with the chapter where it is and to give that to somebody else, I think that's an absolute accolade. Maybe there's a bit of there that you are, I'm assuming you will still stay within the chapter. So getting it to a good point and then being able to enjoy the work and watch the next person that you've helped to get to that point continue your work or continue their work with the chapter is an element of it. What was the real drive for you really to do something that is quite unusual, isn't it? You've got to admit it. If you look at a lot of any organisation, fishing clubs, WIs, everything else, there's a lot of people that get to the top and stay there as long as they can, whereas you've stayed there till the right point for yourself, as from what you've said to us, and then step back to allow another person. What was the sort of thinking behind that, Steve?
Because it isn't about me, Ben. It's about the chapter. And the chapter is at the best it can be at the moment. But I know it can get better. And I know it can get better, you know. And I feel that I've took it to a lot further than I thought I would ever take it. And it's right at the top. But I always have in my mind, I'll never be one of them directors that won't stay there forever. And the director role is such a hard role, Ben. Put your heart into that director's role. It's a hard, hard role. And I would like to say to every chapter member out there, you support your director because it is a hard role. And you back them directors up to the hilts with them. You might not agree with everything. Discuss that. Tell the director, I don't agree with this. Don't blow smoke up the backside. Say, look, I don't agree with this. Can we try it this way? A good director will try it a different way. But I think it's important for directors themselves to understand that the chapter's not yours. The chapter belongs to the chapter, belongs to the members, everybody's involved in it. And you yourself have got to think to yourself, why should I stay forever? You know, there's another life besides being a director. I have a brilliant life, Ben. Honestly, I've got friends all over the world, and honestly, I could pick the phone up and go anywhere I wanted and be treated like royalty, whether it's from celebrities or friends I've met over the years. But that's because of the way I am and the way I come across. But some directors, I'm not having to go just at directors, some people who are in committee roles or running chapters, they don't know when to give it up. They don't know when to retire. I've seen chapters go down from 300 members to 1,900 members, and the same director stayed there. It doesn't make sense. If you can see your chapter has declined so much, then why? There's a reason, isn't there? So it needs fresh blood coming into it. Whether it's a younger person or a middle-aged person or an older person that takes over, give them a go. Let them have a go at it. That's why you have assistants, you know. I know some directors have assistants that probably don't well, I know facts, one of them doesn't even ride a bike anymore. But to me, you need a young assistant as well as a middle-aged assistant. You know, you need to have that fresh blood coming through it all the time. I know some of them will be cringing listening to this now and probably hate me guts or might ring me up and blast me. But, you know, fine, come and blast me. It's my opinion only. And my opinion is that directors should never stay too long. Keep them chapters fresh. Get them members fresh. And I think another reason why we've been so successful, we don't allow cliques. So if you see a clique growing, I have to break you up straight away. That's how I am. Because there shouldn't be any cliques in chapters. You should all be one. All work as a team together. And I've been met with people who've set little groups up. And discussed it with them, and I've said, look, you can't have members come into your group. It's just, and they've abided by it. It's been great, and it's gone back to how it should be. And then members ride with us all the time as well. And to me, forgive everybody. At the end of the day, I'm a forgiving person. Someone does something wrong, I'll go and have a chat with them, tell them where they've gone wrong, and to me, it's gone. That's the end of it, yeah? It's dished in my head. But there is certain extents when it comes to violence or it comes to aggression, there's no going back. At the end of the day, if there's aggression from a member to a member, that's the end of it. Sorry, they're out, they're gone, they're expelled. And that's how it is, and that's how it's always been, because I want everyone to feel safe in the chapter. I want everyone to feel that they can have the say in a discreet way, and everyone shakes hands and off they go again. And I was looking round in the room before I made that decision. I'd made the decision in my head, but I hadn't 100% got there to say it. And I'm looking round and I'm seeing everyone talking. I'm seeing 160 odd people in a room talking and getting on great with each other. And I said to myself, I've done my role there. I've done what I was put there to do, and I've done it. And as far as I'm concerned, now it's time for someone else to take it forward more. And like I say, I could have stayed there another 10 years, could have stayed there another 15 years. I enjoyed it, but I've enjoyed it and I've done it now. It's time to move on.
Yeah, we've talked quite a lot about successors and not necessarily your successor, but I'd like to spare a thought actually for your successor, because Stevie, if you don't mind me saying, that is, it's obviously going to be, I'm sure it's a privilege for the next custodian. I think is what you're trying to describe your role as. You're a custodian of the chapter. You're not an owner of it. You're simply looking after it for a period of time. Some shoes to fill for the next man or woman coming in your place.
And I think that's why I built a team up that it isn't just the one person, even though it is the one person that'll be at the top, but the team will back him and back her. They'll back him 100%. The team will back the person that takes over, because I've helped to build that team so it's a solid team, and they'll all give. It's no use giving 10%. You all have to give 100%. And you know what? That's what happens. They're all giving 100%, and I love that. And to me, if it carries on like that for the next 20 years, there'll be no one happier than me. Lay on a beach or riding my bike somewhere with the lads chilling out, and it's like 20 years of my life I've enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed it. 10 years on the committee, I've really enjoyed it. But I can only see all my head up high, and I can say, for them 10 years on the committee, I have put 100% in. And yeah, I've had to ask for advice. I've gone to Barry, I've gone to Martin Dickinson, I've gone to George Maguire, Alan from the Geordie chapter, Glasper. I've gone to other people to ask for that advice. Even Jeff Bacon asked for some advice a few weeks ago. And to me, don't be frightened of asking that advice from another chapter director or from somewhere who rides just for a normal member. And the members, what I say is, I've always, from about the age of 19, I met a gentleman called Harry Bancroft. He died at 95, lovely guy. And I sort of looked up to Harry a little bit. And he was in Portugal, and I've been coming here since I was 19. And he said to me, Steve, every day you wake up, have a smile on your face because you've woke up, and you live life to the full and never hold grudges. And you know what? I've always followed that. I've always followed that all the way through. It's weird, isn't it? And I always remember what he says to me. But I'm terrible for sleeping, me, and I've been like this since probably about 21. I mean, the security we did was for all grade A celebrities, including Prince Charles, who's now the king, and it's like I've had Tony Blair, we've had John Major, I've done all the prime ministers, probably 4 of them anyway. But I've also done the biggest celebrities there is. And to me, you don't get much sleep. You're away on tour. So you're with the celebrity from when they wake up in the morning, which might be 8 o'clock, it might be 9 o'clock, it might be 11 o'clock. I'm on call from 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock. I'm still on call with them celebrities out in the pubs at 2 in the morning, especially them Irish, Kenny. They don't go to bed. Honestly, that Keith Duffy, take it from me. And Shano and all the lads, they just drink, and Brian McFadden. But you know what? You're there for a role, and your role is to look after them. So as long as I get them back to their hotel safely, and I get up in the morning and take them out safely, I've done my bit. And that's what it is. And, the security company was 300 odd lads, and it was brilliant. It's booming. And I decided one day, not so long ago, that it was time to part with that as well. 99% of it, which I've done. I still have a little bit of percentage that I do other stuff with, and I still enjoy doing it, and I still enjoy doing the odd day and the odd little job here and there. Keeps you going. But the sleep pattern I've got, I can't get out of it, and it's so hard. At the end of the day, I get to bed now normally probably 11 o'clock. 4 o'clock onwards, I'm up in the morning, and that's just my sleep pattern. And people say, "Oh, do you get a siesta in the day, or do you have a sleep in the afternoon?" I don't know. It's just how my body is. I wish I could get in bed at 10 o'clock at night and wake up at 10 o'clock in the morning. I'd love to do that. Honestly, I would, Ben. But I'm just not made that way, which is a shame, really.
I think that's how you beat the motorway traffic, though, because whenever I see you on like a big motorway, I know fine well I'd be filtering or feet down, cooking my thighs. Whereas you're like just cruising along, looks quite empty. The M25, when you've covered that a few times, I'm like, how's he managing to do that? Like, how's he making that? And then you realise the time at which you've ridden that section of road.
I thought it was quite funny. I don't know if you've seen the picture. I put it out one day. It was on my street light. It was last year, and I was riding down to Faltstone to the tunnel, and it was like 5 o'clock in the morning or something. And I remember passing one car. I do remember passing one car. There was nothing else on the road. It was only a guy who I knew, and he took a picture of me and sent it to me. And it was quite cool, the only one on the motorway riding down in the middle of the lane. But yeah, you have the good and the bad, don't you, when you're riding long distance?
A couple of things I want to touch on very quickly. So you said about the chap that lived to 95, and I'm crap with names, but I'm good with faces. So I apologise. He is in there and you've got a definite mention, and he gave you a good bit of advice. My dad gave me a poem when he retired from being a manager, and it's Rudyard Kipling's If. And I don't know if you've ever come across it. It sits on my office wall. It's the same copy that my dad had. And there's a line in it, and it came to mind when you were talking to me, specifically when you mentioned Charles. So I want to read it to you, if you don't mind. And it says, If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings, nor lose the common touch. And the tail end of it, you'll know for definite. It says, if you can fill 60 seconds with, if you can fill the unforgiven minute with 60 seconds of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it. And what is more, you'll be a man, my son. But it was the bit about talking with crowds and walking with kings without losing the common touch. That's one thing I've always liked about you as Steve, or Dino, as I know you. I know what you've done because I've followed you on social media and I've seen things and I know who you're with and things like that. I never feel that you're unapproachable, and I've never felt that I can't talk to you, and you've always made me feel welcome. So I think that in itself is a success. And if your successor can do that, that's impressive. Shoes. We spoke about big shoes to fill. My question, because you mentioned him, and if you know him or follow his social media, Adam Phillips' favourite selfie is his shoes sat on the tunnel. He also, and I like flamboyant shoes, as we know, has he bought you a set of gold sneakers for your retiring from being director? And if he hasn't, get it sorted, Mr. Phillips.
Yeah, I can't believe he's not done that, then. I'll tell you what, he might ring me one day, I'll say a little story about him. He's quite a character. But when he wants something, he wants it. So he rang me up one day. He says, can you go look at this car for me? I was mad busy. I was up to my eyes in security. I'm on a street with 7 or 8 celebrities. We're undermanned because we've got these other productions on the same street. And it was in the middle of Manchester. And he rings me 4 times. Have you looked at this car yet? Have you looked at this car yet? Have you looked at this car yet? I said, Adam, I've not had a chance to get there. Oh, brilliant. If that was you, I'd do it. And he put me under that much pressure over 3 days. I went and bought the car, Ben. And I got it put on a low loader from Guy Salmon, and I got it delivered to his company. Adam didn't even have a clue. So Adam was in his office looking out the window, and someone says there's a recovery truck out there with a car on. He looked out the window and straight away knew what I'd done. He couldn't believe what I'd done. And I thought, at the end of the day, he paid for it. Everything was done. It's how he is. He's straight guy. But when he wants something, he wants something. And where he got them gold shoes from for our Christmas party, I do not know, Ben. I don't know where they come from.
Find out.
Yeah, I will find out on that. But the top of his head, when he does a picture of his top of his head.
Yeah. Yeah, all the time, isn't it? And it's always you don't even need to see his name on his Instagram. If you can see shoes on the top of his head, then you know it's Mr. Phillips. It's usually on the tunnel somewhere, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. That's how it is. But I've rode with quite a lot of different people this year. I did a great trip to Croatia with little Emma and Alan. And what a rider she is. Let me tell you, she can ride a bike. She's no miver. And then as we got back to the UK, we parted. Alan went one way with Dave, and me and Emma went another way. And we were every traffic, but we were white lining and we were going for it. And do you know what? She's absolutely brilliant. And I enjoyed that, Ben, because at the end of the day, it's seeing a different person ride so skillfully at such a young age. Honestly, I take my hat off to him, and that's for anybody. But I will repeat again, as a director, please be open to your members. Please have an open door 24 hours a day for them members, because you've got members there that want to talk about things and they don't feel that they can approach certain directors. To me, you're a director. Come on, be approachable. Don't have a little clique yourself. Be open for everybody. And you know what? Them chapters will thrive if they do that. They will really thrive, Ben.
Yeah.
And don't be frightened of putting a young person on the committee, because the young people are the future of HD and HOG. Without doubt. We can't all ride forever, can we, Ben?
No, I'd agree with you. I'm not going to say too much because obviously I divide a few opinions, and I might be a little bit marmitey for some people, and I might have had a shot at director twice. Neither worked out, but never mind. I'm still in the chapter and I'm still involved. But it's having that opportunity, and I think it does come from the top sometimes, and that's where that openness needs to be. The other thing we said we were going to talk about was the future. So I'm going to get as many cliches in tonight as possible. The other thing that my wife bought me ages ago, and it says on it, behind every great man is an even greater woman. And I think when you talk about what you've given to the chapter and you've given 110%, absolutely, 100% agree with you. No one can argue with that. But Lisa's given time up as well, hasn't she? So for you to be able to do what you've done.
And my kids, all my kids have rode Harley since they were 17. We're a family of 8 now. And we all ride, and that's what I'll be doing more of going forward. But Lisa's been a rock, honestly. She's been a rock there with me, and she's given me a lot of stick as well over the time, like neglecting her and this, that, and the other. But I explain that sometimes you've got to do these things to get the succession for the chapter what they deserve. But she sat next to me. Come round here and say hello. She is quite a character, Lisa. Honestly, she is. She does anything. She'll do anything. And she was in the nursing profession 40 odd years, and there she is. But yeah, she's been a rock. But the benefit of Lisa, the benefit of having Lisa as my wife, Kenny and Ben, is she rides a bike as well. And we've been together. We met when we was 12, and we're both 58 now. I'm 6 months older, so she does.
You're improving the view.
She does remind me now and again that I'm older than her, but she soon catches up when we have that birthday. But we've been together from 12, we're 58, and we have your ups and downs in all marriages, don't you, and stuff like that. But the main thing is if you have a little argument, we just talk the next day, get on with it. We try not, we don't argue. We're too old for arguing, aren't we now, Ben? But at the end of the day, she rides a bike, and we ride together a lot, which is brilliant. On a lot of, probably 80% of the rides, Lisa's with me. This year, she couldn't with me all the time. She lost her mum, unfortunately, so she was looking after her mum for quite a lot. So she missed a few of the big rides I did this year. But we'll make up next year. We're together, and we'll be out there riding again.
Yeah. Oh, I'm just going to tell him to go out on that bike every day. No. Even though he's been the director and we've, he has given a big chunk of his life to the chapter and everything, but we've done it together, so we've enjoyed it. I've been there helping, might have been a bit quiet in the background and everything, but always there to support or give a bit of advice or anything. But the chapter, it has been a big part of our lives, for so many years, and it is just like one big family. But yes, Steve, he's a brilliant role role model as a director, because he gives 110% to everything he does. whether it's a bit of advice or supporting the dealership or supporting the DP, you know. It don't matter who you are, from a child coming in or a person wanting to just have a quick ride on a bike or a back of a trike, or supporting funerals or anything. You know, somebody might break down. You know, Steve will answer the phone at 11 o'clock at night, and I've known until 3 o'clock in the morning, still trying to sort people out. You know, to get them back home safe or anything. You know, he's always very supportive in every which way. Yeah.
It's without asking as well, and that's the thing that I really have always appreciated. So I phoned up and I asked you where the transit centre was, and you told me you weren't sure, but what train was coming in was your next question. And there wasn't a minute, there wasn't a pause. Yeah, it was just there. Do you know what I mean? The help was there, and it was appreciated massively. The key to success, and what I really want to see, and I'm sure you want to see it as well, little Hugo with a chapter cut, with a chapter rocker on the back of it, and keeping up that riding. I think that would be absolutely cracking. And I think having a bit more time to talk about the future, we spoke off the phone, and obviously your family is a huge part of what you do. And again, I'm privileged enough to know a little bit of information about your family in terms of talking with you and seeing it on social media and things. And you can see what a tight-knit family you are. And I think having the time to thoroughly enjoy that now, you can enjoy the chapter as a member, so that'll be fun. But having that time with the family and Hugo in particular, I mean, he seems like quite a little chap. Seeing him in his riding gear is always pretty impressive. So having that time to spare, and not that you didn't before, but you know what I mean, having the time there without the pressure of other things in terms of the chapter needing you as a director, that must be something to look forward to. And have you got any specific plans in that sort of direction?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, it's going to be mainly abroad, which I'm looking forward to. Family will be with me quite a lot as well, and just I've been road everywhere, to be honest with you, Ben, but just riding some of them places again. And some of the places we haven't been as a family, we'll go as a family together. You know, and we've been right to the Russian border together. And I remember, you know, Tom was just 17 riding a bike, and it was great and loved it. I know the licence laws changed now, so you can't have them sort of bikes again. But they've got the licences, they've got the big bikes now. You know, Tom's got himself a road glide now. Believe it or not, Ben, I mean, I'm a street glide man, but I've actually got myself a road glide now. I'm never going to hear that because of Adam Phillips and Alan Glasper ripping into me every single day about.
I was just about to say, Alan from the Geordie chapters already dialing your number.
Do you know what? I'll be truthful with you, and I've got to be truthful because that's how I am. But the road glide's a better ride. And I never thought I'd say that.
So I say it very quietly to myself every now and then, and I'm admitting it publicly because I'll follow your example. I would agree with you. My road glide will come with a divorce at the minute, so I'll stick to my street glide. And
I'll street glide. I'll never get rid of that street glide, so I'll have them both. And I've got my Heritage Softail there. I got brand new in 2007. I ride that over in Portugal a lot. I've got another street glide as well. And you know what? I just love riding bikes, Ben.
Oh, he's lost one already because Hugo's already chosen one and keeps saying,
he's having the orange
Granddad,
one.
that's my orange bike.
But to me, you can go and spend your money on 5-star meals. You can go and spend your money in the best hotels in the world. I'm not into all that, Ben. I'm a council street lad, and I spend my money on what makes me happy, and that's Harley Davidson motorbikes, I'm afraid, which is a tough one to say, isn't it? But, you know, I've been in the best events you can think of. I've been, honestly, you name it, I've been there. Don't do much for me, to be honest with you, Ben. I'm a jeans man. If I've got to put a pair of pants on, it really hurts me, it does. If I've got to put a suit and a jacket on, which I had to do for Keith Ball, the foundation in Dublin a couple of weeks ago, I did it, but that's the only time I'll probably do it again until my son gets married. I've wore one for my 2 daughters' weddings, but I'm just down to earth and just get on with it. And rather than go and spend 400 quid on a meal, I'd rather spend 400 quid on parts on my bike. But don't tell Lisa.
Yeah, exactly. And why not? Why not? I know you said that you're going to spend quite a bit of time abroad, and obviously you're there just now, but 2026, have you any plans for any of the UK rallies or the Irish rallies? Yeah. Are there any of them on your radar for the year?
I'm riding over to Ireland. I'm riding to the Isle of Man. Going to do the Silverstone event for the baggers. And then you've got the normal rallies we tend to visit. You know, I love the Cirencester rally. It's brilliant. It's absolutely spot on. I love that. The Geordie rally is unbeatable. You can't beat that Geordie rally. So these things
sold out already as well.
There's still things that my family will want to do and what I go and do these things. And, you know, I'll encourage my family to do everything they can as well.
Briefly jumping back into the past. So we've talked about street glides and road glides and the difference between the two. Yes, one might be superior. You also mentioned hotels, Steve, and there was a story you were telling us before we started recording. And if you're happy to share it, I'd like you to. So we're talking about a street glide and maybe a cover. I think that's where we started.
Quite a funny story, this. But it's not really. It makes me cringe now. But many years ago, when I was a new kid on the block, I got my first new street glide. I worked hard to get my street glide. Anyway, the chapter had arranged to go, the Attis chapter had arranged to go away to Taunton. I think it was the Taunton Carnival or something. Anyway, I parked up on my bike outside, and everybody's got a cover on the bike. I never had a cover, Ben, never owned a cover, because I didn't know about buying a cover for a bike. And I felt that they were all laughing at me. This is just how I felt. I felt they were all laughing at me that I've not got a cover on my bike and everyone's was covered up. And it was like on my mind most of the night. It was quite weird, Ben. So I just decided at 1 o'clock in the morning I'd rectify it in my own little head. So I went to the reception and there was no one on reception. So I thought, brilliant. So I wedged the door open on reception. This supposes my council estate wild side coming out of me. I jumped on my bike in my underpants and my shorts, and I drove it through the hotel reception. I drove it right down the corridor, parked it outside my bedroom. Unknown to me, the alarms were going off. There was smoke in the corridor, and I went back to bed. And Lisa was going crazy because she was in the room. Next minute, he's knocking on the door. Yeah. It was our merchandise officer. He was now our merchandise officer, Pete Wilson, 2 Pints Pete, we call him. Him and a lad called Ross pleading with me to take my bike out the corridor. Well, you tried taking a bike backwards early hours of the morning and getting it back outside. So eventually we did, and I think the chapter got sent a bill for carpet cleaning. I think I paid that. I can't remember. But yeah, it was one of those wild times, and I'd never do it again, Ben. I'd never encourage anyone to do it again. But it was just a spirit.
Never say never.
Moment. But I think the best laugh was I came down for breakfast in the morning, and Arthur, who was our director, he wasn't the director at the time, but Arthur, who was the director I took over from, ex-RAF, but proper, proper gentleman. He gave me this look to kill. I seen all the older generation of the committee just look the other way, and I come down with a big smiley face. Good morning, and I went over and said, "Good morning, everyone. I hope you've had a great sleep, and let's have a great day today." What else you say, Ben? What else you say? And we had a great weekend after that. But I don't know, was it proving a point? What was it? I don't know. I just felt in my giddy head that I was being laughed at because I never had a silly £10 bike cover.
Truth be told, your bike's probably never still long enough to need a cover, Steve.
No, that's true. It's true. Yeah, and that's just one of the crazy moments I've done in my life. I've done a lot of crazy things over the years, but you live and learn by as you get older, don't you, Ben? Or Kenny will probably say that.
Well, Kenny's
older than I will. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Ben's lost a lot of age given what he's done to his beard. I'm actually thinking of following suit and trying to lower my age.
I'll tell you another funny story, Ben. This is quite funny. We were looking after some big celebs in Blackpool, and I have Rottweilers, and I take my dogs everywhere with me. So I took one of my big dogs with me because one of the lads was doing a night patrolling on the car park with all the expensive gear. So I brought my dog down, let him have my dog. But anyway, he then had 2 nights off, so I had the dog with me. So we're staying in the Imperial Hotel at Blackpool at the time, which is probably one of the best 4-star hotels in the UK at the time. Not obviously now, but at the time. So I took the dog in took him in my suite, had to give me a suite, which was lovely. And he slept like a log. Following morning, I comes out the door. I never forget it. And I comes out the door. As I walk out the door, I just looks to the left, and it's John Major with his police bodyguard coming down the stairs. So it's my dog, me, John Major, and the police bodyguard all walking down the stairs at the actual hotel, and the stairs are dead wide in the Imperial Hotel, all together. And someone got a picture of it, and I've been trying to find that picture. I will find it again. But what a picture that was, and it went out in the papers as well. It was quite a funny picture, Ben, to be honest with you.
Yeah. See if you get a hold of it. We'll
track that down.
Yeah,
absolutely track that down. Yeah,
thousands of old pictures that are cut out of newspapers and stuff, and you keep them over years, but you don't go and look at them. And that's another thing to do, is get all these old photos out that and paper cuttings and just go through them all, really, to show the kids, because the kids don't know about half of this stuff, and I want them to learn all that for the future. I mean, Tom's doing a bit of security as well now. He's doing great. He's in Devon. He's doing brilliant, but he also does a bit of this club security for me now. He sort of took over that side of it. He's doing brilliant with it, Ben, and he's a one-off. So it's nice to show him stuff like that.
Thank you very much for telling me those couple of stories, Steve. And as you said, we are not encouraging people to do daft things on motorcycles. Do what you like, just don't put it on social media and tag us in it and say we were any part of it. Thank you very much for sharing your time with us tonight, Steve and Lisa. That's the other important party to thank in this. It's been really good fun to talk to you. Hopefully it's not been too stressful. We'll take the cables off now and the car battery, and the interrogation stops and you can take a breath. As I say, thanks for being with us. Kenny, I think you've enjoyed yourself as well.
Yeah, this has actually been the easiest podcast I've ever done. This has been fantastic for me. So, yeah, Stevie, I know we've crossed paths a few times, but it's been lovely to actually hear a little bit more about you, because you've, to me personally, you've been a bit of an enigma, to be honest with you. So it's been lovely to have a peek behind the curtains, and as I suspected, sound guy, and it was just lovely to speak to you. And Lisa, enjoy having your husband back to you without all of the responsibility on his shoulders.
Oh, thank you.
And can I just say to everyone out there, you've got one life, live it to the full, and have a smile on your face every day, and you will not go wrong, I promise you.
Thanks for that, Steve. So, folks, thank you for joining us again. It's been one of those episodes where Kenny's asked me to do the introduction and the outro, so hopefully I haven't waffled too much. I'll make a bit of a habit of that. We will see you shortly with more exciting content. Looking forward to it. So that's good night from me.
And good night from me.
And good night from me.